r/AskReddit. What's the strangest date you've ever been on? Matched on Tinder with a guy who decided that a great story to tell in detail on our date was about the time he fisted a lady and tore her up so bad inside that she was bleeding profusely and had to go to the hospital to get stitches. After he was done telling the story, he told me he was glad I told him I was super squeamish because now he wouldn't try to show me pictures of all the blood he had saved on his phone. He also said he had been on well over 100 Tinder dates, and I had managed to land in his top 10. I never talked to him again. It's 2001, so VHS and chill at this girl's dorm room. My first time over there, and there is this giant bear on the bed. Like, got the softball in the milk jug at the carnival first try tier bear. It occupies 50% of the surface area. I say whoa, how'd you score that bear? I don't know. Me, what? I don't know. A few minutes go by. Me, you don't know? Yeah. Me, okay, look. It's okay if it's from an ex. I don't care if you stole it. I'll believe almost anything you tell me at this point. But there is no way in hell you're going to tell me you don't know where that giant bear is from. I had a stuffed dinosaur 1/4 that size that I got when I was 6, and I could tell you every detail about how I got it. Well, good for you. But I don't know how I got it. Are you going to be able to let this go? Me, looks at bear. Bear stares back, eyes full of secrets. I don't think I can. Walk out. Hot girl from class randomly walked into my dorm room. The door was normally open during the day. She was in the building visiting a friend and saw me playing guitar, so she came in and started flirting. She asked me to meet her at a nearby bar that night at 10, so I agreed. I get there at 10 and she introduces me to her boyfriend. I finished my beer and went to the bar my friends were at. I was a waitress and I had a table of 2 guys. One was very cute and flirting with me, and we exchanged numbers. He asked me out and I said yes. I didn't really go out much and he didn't tell me where we were going out, what we were doing. Me being young and dumb at the time thought that would be exciting. So he drives me a pretty good way from my house and we go to an elementary school. I was really confused. Apparently he was a basketball coach and they had a game that night. So at this point I notice I have no reception on my phone and I really wanted to leave, but I thought maybe we were going somewhere fun afterward, so I gave up trying to call someone to rescue me. I sat and watched this game right next to this dude's mom. Yeah, this was going well. Finally the game ended and we go to get in the car and his friend from the restaurant gets in the front seat making me sit in the back. I'm super uncomfortable with this and I ask what's going on. They basically tell me they want to run a train on me. Nope. Duck that. Take me home now. I got lucky. They moped and took me home. I was terrified. That was horrible. Met a girl online, talked it up, and while she seemed a bit immature, thought heck, why not? She casually mentioned she really liked pigs. What she meant to say was she was obsessed with pigs. Obsessed. Go to one of the best restaurants in the area for a first date. Bad idea. Sometimes pictures are from someone 10 years prior, or the person hides things, etc. But that wasn't the problem. She looked just like her pictures. But I didn't even have to have seen her first, because everything else gave it away. She came in a giant t-shirt that had a sparkly pink pig on it. Earrings. Pig earrings. Bracelets. Yep, pig bracelets. I swear her dad might have been Homer Simpson. She had this headband on with a little pig on it. Her shoes? Yep, pigs on the front of the toes. But best of all, she had a giant, or at least it seemed giant, pink purse with the face of a pig on it. You could not stop seeing it once you did. And I'm sure everyone else in this nicer/classier restaurant saw it too. I felt overdressed with her, but underdressed with every other couple there. It was beyond embarrassing. For some reason which I have to convince myself was politeness, not stupidity, we still had dinner. But Reddit, it was the fastest damn dinner I've ever had at a sit down place. I practically blurted out something about how, oh, you really do like pigs. Which she started giggling, oinking, and going on about how everything she has is pig themed. Then she wouldn't stop, and it became the dominant part of the conversation. There were a dozen other things that made it a train wreck, but these were the clinchers to a solid 0 out of 5 date. I remember afterwards consoling with a friend of a friend because I had to tell someone, and then I promptly buried this as my worst date. TLDR, girl was obsessed with pigs, but ironically no porking at end. Wasn't my date, but I had gone home with a guy I had been seeing, and when we got there his roommate was curled in a ball on the couch looking pretty shaken. We asked him what was wrong, and it took him a while to get it out, but he finally told us what happened. He took a girl home from the bar and they started drunkenly tearing each other's clothes off as soon as they got through his bedroom door. She said she was self-conscious though, so she wanted the lights off. He switched them off, and they started fooling around. She starts going down on him when all of a sudden, the guy notices this horrible smell. He mentions it, but she tells him to just ignore it. He's probably imagining things. Finally the smell is too much, so he switches the lights on. That's when he sees it. Shit. Literal shit all over her and all over the bed. He is completely dumbfounded, doesn't know what to say or do, so apparently all he yelled was shit. She grabbed all her clothes and ran out of the apartment crying without saying a word and, presumably, still covered in poop. He threw his bedding out, took an hour-long shower, and refused to go back into his room. Pretty much killed our night too. To this day I still wonder what on earth happened. Was she into it and was hoping he would be too? Was it an accident and she decided to just go with it? I don't know which scenario is more horrifying, to be honest. I've posted this before because it's so weird. I went for a meal with this girl I met through a dating app and it was going really well. We started talking about movies and then we decided to go to the cinema to go watch Inception. She said there was a cinema nearby, but I didn't know the area at all, so I used the GPS on my phone and she held it and directed me. Once we got there we started walking inside and I realized I didn't have my phone in my pocket. I said I must have left it in the car and started to walk back to get it. She was trying to get me to leave it and saying we would miss the film, but the phone was only about a week old, so I was really paranoid about it. We checked the car for about 10 minutes, but we couldn't find it. I asked her to check her jacket and her bag, but she said it wasn't there. A couple parked next to us, so I asked them to ring my number because I couldn't find it. It started to ring, and it was obviously coming from my date's handbag. She took it out and said she must have missed it. I thanked the couple and locked my car, and as I turned back around she was walking the other way. I ran to catch up and asked what was going on, but she was very dismissive and was barely talking. That's when I realized it wasn't an accident and just left her to walk home alone. Okay, I have never shared this story online before, but here goes. I was going to have a second date with this girl. She knew of 3 parties happening on the same night, so she suggested that we hit all 3. Sounded good to me, so off we go. At party 1, her best friend from college is there that she hasn't seen in 4 years. They immediately run off together, and I'm left with the friend's boyfriend having a drink. I think to myself, this is no big deal. She hasn't seen her friend in a long time, and the night has a lot more to go. She comes back after a while and suggests we head on to the other party. Great. Arrive at second party. My date immediately runs off with some other friends. Like, Tim. Oh my god, how are you doing? And dashes across the party to find him. I slowly follow behind, but then they keep scurrying on to talk to other people without the girl making it clear that she wanted me to come. I feel really awkward because she doesn't introduce me or say anything about me. I'm just an awkward guy there that no one knows. I get tired of that and go to the bathroom, where I find that the door has been ripped off its hinges. I find a screwdriver and fix the door before using the bathroom. Fast forward 30 minutes, my date finds me and suggests we go to the final party, but this time, her friend Tim is going to join us. Okay. Arrive at third party. As soon as we walk in the door, Tim says he needs cigarettes, and the girl and Tim run out for cigarettes and leave me at this new party with all these other people I don't know. They are gone for 45 minutes, by which time I decide that this date isn't working out and I should just go home. When my date comes back with cigarettes, I tell her I'm leaving, and she flips out. She starts screaming at me in front of everyone about how she was going to have sex with me later and how I ruined everything. Then she proceeds to scream, "You're not leaving me, I'm leaving you," after which she bolts out and slams the door. Then everyone at this other party, whom I don't know, is staring at me while my date, who brought me there, has abandoned me. Someone eventually comes and offers me a drink. I stay for another hour and laugh it off with the people at the party. I'm still friends with some of those fine people today. I went on a date with a guy in my apartment block, only to see his disappointed face when my girlfriend called me on the way home. I realized he'd assumed I was gay and that I'd assumed he was just a friendly guy wanted to hang out. This story isn't as strange as some, but it's my strangest. A guy I'd met a few times contacted me, asked me on a date. I had never been asked on a date before and accepted despite thinking him a little strange and having heard some odd things about his family. He picked me up and everything seemed good. We decided to grab a pizza and eat it in a park. When we went to purchase the pizza, it turned out he worked there and had all his co-workers come out to gawk at me. This guy wasn't very popular with the ladies and seemed to be proving he had a date. I'm bad in social situations and got super uncomfortable but didn't know how to bail, and we went to the park. It was very awkward and I wanted to go home by the end of it. We mostly just sat in awkward silence and tried not to hear each other chewing. I thought I was going home, but he decided he wanted to stop at his house. I agree because I honestly did not know how to disagree. First dating experience. His home turned out to be with his parents. We were both 18 to 20. This wouldn't have been so bad had they not all 10 of his siblings. I don't remember exactly how many siblings he had, and his parents were home and wanted to meet me. They weren't just a big nice family, they were very religious and looked like they belonged to a cult. They all had long hair, homemade clothing, they were homeschooled. The mom said hello, then the dad came in and nobody was allowed to say a word while he questioned me on what me and his son had done on our date and when the family would be seeing me again. It was terrifying. My date showed me his pet turtles, which were really cute, and finally drove me home. He tried to kiss me after making it clear he thought we were in a relationship after one date. At this point I almost ran from the car. I messaged him later on explaining that I was only looking for friends at this point in time. TLDR, first date I'd ever been on. Ended up being paraded before the staff at a pizza place and meeting my date's very religious family. He thought we were dating by the end of the failed date. Got set up on a date with this pretty awkward guy. He picked me up in his car, which was sort of cool considering we were in high school, but oh my god, he was a nervous driver. So nervous in fact that he accidentally ran a red light, lost his shit, and ducked into a residential area to sit at the end of a cul-de-sac freaking out thinking the cops were coming. I tried to explain that if a cop had seen him, we'd have already been pulled over, but dude was too freaked out. I don't even remember anything else about the date, just that it was uneventful, and I never really talked to him again because we had nothing in common. Meet a guy online. He asks me to dinner at a tapas place. I agree because I'm bored and he seems nice enough. We'd been texting for a couple weeks and it seemed chill. I get there and he's late to meet me. Looks nothing like his profile, about 100 pounds heavier, bad skin, and is just dressed really sloppily, but I told myself not to be shallow. We are looking over the menu, which was fantastic by the way, and I suggest a few things I'd like to eat, and he begins saying he doesn't eat sweet potatoes, aioli, capers, salmon, radish, arugula, kale, balsamic vinegar, etc. Basically all ingredients except for bread, meat, and cheese, and that he won't eat any food if that's what I order. I tell him to get what he wants then, and I'll get something for myself. We get our food, and he is the messiest eater I've seen in my life, getting crumbs and food bits all over his shirt and the whole table, and it was just painful to watch. He also kept insisting I try his food, but I'm pescatarian and lactose intolerant so I declined, at which he began berating me and my food choices, and being a picky eater. They clear our table for dessert and he then gets down on one knee and tries to give me a promise ring, because he felt a special bond with me and wanted to pledge his life to me after having met online a few weeks before. Yeah, no thanks. Politely as I could, I declined, to which he started calling me expletives in the middle of the restaurant and then ugly crying and stormed out. So I had to pay for the terrible date he asked me on because I didn't want to accept a pre-engagement ring. TLDR guy I met online turns out to be really odd and throws a hissy fit when I refuse to wear a promise ring he bought. I met a guy from OkCupid. The first time we met up in a public place and just had a casual chat. It wasn't a horrible date, but it wasn't very memorable either. I decided to give him another try because it could have just been nerves. The second date he invited me over to his place. I knew he lived with his parents, but I kind of assumed they'd be away. They weren't away. They kept coming into the lunchroom and giving us iced tea and chips whilst he played Xbox in his track pants, no shirt, and I sat there awkwardly watching. He didn't really speak much to me. It was 11 PM and he was in his 30s. TLDR, his mum and dad brought us drinks and snacks while I watched him play games without him really speaking to me. He was 34. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.